lot of what we're going to get into today is very similar. It's intertwined with living fully, being alive, owning your body of work, moving. All of this stuff is thriving. That's what creates thriving passion. Of all the areas in life, I think relationships, intimate relationships and intimacy is the area where most people have the largest amount of pain, the most confusion, and the most stress. How many of you would agree with that? For the most part, yeah. Yet, when you understand some fundamental pieces of what does it take to create lasting passion, intimacy, it's simple, it's fun, it's so delicious. So how many of you have heard before that, passion just lasts in the honeymoon phase, or it's just a phase, and after a while it kind of mellows out? Who's heard that before? Raise your hand. Most people. That's what I grew up learning too. How I got into this whole topic, some of you have heard this before, is when I was in my early 20s, I got married. That's what I thought I was supposed to do. She was amazing. She was gorgeous. She really loved me. I was like, okay, I guess I'll get married. That's what I thought I needed to do. Within a few years, it was very obvious it wasn't going to work out. It's not what I wanted. And I got divorced. And it wrecked me. It sucked. It was some of the most intense pain I've ever felt in my life. And I decided that moment that I told her I didn't want to be married anymore, she just dropped and was crying uncontrollably on the ground. And I felt like the biggest asshole on the planet. And I remember thinking to myself, how did I get here? I'm smart, I'm intelligent. She's smart, she's intelligent. How did this happen? And I started thinking back to what led up to that moment and started having some very clear insights. I didn't want to get married in the first place, but I wanted her to be happy. I didn't want to hurt my family by not getting married, and on and on and on and on, which will make sense in just a minute. So this is one of my favorite quotes of all time about passion, intimacy, and relationships. And it's from a movie called Dream of an Insomniac. It's a fantastic movie. If you haven't seen it, you should watch it. But this is one of my favorite lines of all time. Unless it's mad, passionate, extraordinary love, it's a waste of your time. There are too many mediocre things in life. Love shouldn't be one of them. So, in spite of what society says, or what our culture says, or what most people think, if you're sick, is something wrong? Physically sick. If you have a headache, or you're cold, and you're sneezing and coughing, is there something wrong? Yes, you need to get back in alignment, physically healthy. Is there something wrong? I have the same belief around passion and relationships. If there's not passion in your relationships, something is off. The standard of relationship should be that thriving, connecting, that depth of passion. When it's not there, the relationship is sick. It's not the standard to have that, kind of just, how you guys doing? Oh, we're good. When's the last time you had sex? On my birthday last year? I don't know. So there's something off. How many of you like to have sex? How many of you think sex is really, really fun and feels very, very good? How many of you, when you have sex, feel so much more open, so much more connected, so much more full of love and aliveness? Raise your hand. Yes. So it feels really good. It's the best way to connect. It feels really good. It creates such a depth and an intimacy and a connection, yet for most people in most relationships, sex is one of the first things that goes away after they've been together for a few months. How many of you have experienced that before? I know I have. Yeah. So what would it be like if every day you were completely filled up in your relationship? Not just a little bit, but completely just beaming. How many of you have had a relationship or moments in a relationship when you felt like you were on cloud 9? Just completely excited, just blown out of your mind, like, oh my God, everything's awesome. Oh my God, look at the cloud. The cloud is so beautiful. You're just so connected to light, you're so lit up. How many? Raise your hand. okay? We've all been there. That can last. And in life, there's patterns. There's patterns that create relationships that are amazingly passionate like this. There's thriving. And there's patterns that create relationships. I call them relationships because they just suck. They're shitty. It just doesn't feel good. It's not very open. And to understand, we're going to get into 3 things. And I'm just going to tell you, here's the 3 points that you need to know. So if you don't pay attention to anything else we talk about today, this is how they do it in Germany, right? 3. Am I catching on? Is that it? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Shit. I was going to be all proud. So 3 things. First thing you need to do is master yourself. And we'll get into what that means, but you have to master yourself. Most people in relationships have higher expectations of their partner than they do of themselves. Most people in relationships are quick to blame. Well, I feel this way because she's doing this, or she's not doing this, or he did this. I'm so pissed at him. They don't own themselves. So that's the first thing you need to do. The second thing to have thriving passion is a really good understanding of polarity, which is basically the dance between masculine and feminine energy, which again, we'll get into detail in just a second. But you have to understand polarity and live from your essence consistently. And then the third thing that you need to do, which all of the speakers before me have talked about in such fantastic ways, is you have to serve. It's taking that energy of owning your own power and harnessing it through your relationships to make a difference in the planet, to something outside of you, something outside of the relationship. If you do those 3 things consistently, I promise you, you will have thriving passion. Okay? But in order to do this, we have to be playful. So if I ask a question, which I'm going to be doing a lot of, and I'm going to be walking around and we're going to be having lots of fun, yell out the answer. Does that make sense? That sucked. Oh. Everybody take a deep breath. Shake your body out. Are you willing to be silly today? Yes or no? Yes. Oh, you're learning. I'm so excited. Yeah. Do I have your permission to use some language that might be a little out of the ordinary? Is that okay? Fuck yeah, sweet. We're gonna have some fun. So, take another deep breath. Shake your body out. So by the way, when I do that, based on what we learned yesterday, why do I do that? Take a deep breath, shake your body out. What's that about? Say it out loud. Get present, focused, what else? Alignment, what else? Get relaxed, what else? Say that again, Andrew. To reset, yeah. What else? Come here, brother. What did this awesome stud of a man talk about yesterday? Dancing. What else did he talk about? Movement. When you take a deep breath, do you have to move? Yeah, you have to. If you shake your body out, do you have to move? Is this man masculine? So those of you who went to the workshop yesterday, is he masculine? Yes, he is. Does he move differently than somebody who's not owning their power? Yes. That's why I have you take a deep breath and shake your body out. It resets, get that movement and that alignment right in your body, which we'll get into in just a second. You have to do that to own your power and to own yourself and master yourself. So thank you so much for that. So I'm curious, what is passion anyway? We're talking about passion. A lot of you are excited, like, oh yes, I like that, it's fun. What is it? What is passion? Whoa, not everybody at once. Getting overwhelmed. Aliveness. And there's no right or wrong answer, just yell it out really loud. What else is passion? Joy. Fulfillment? Yeah. Great. Say it again. Desire, yes. Some guys over here. Fire. Intensity. Energy. Yes. Does anybody know the real definition of passion, where it comes from, what the word really means? Yes. Thank you, you too. Good job, Troy. And he's cheating because he's my client, so he's already heard this before. But the word passion comes from the root word passio, which means suffering. So the word passion, even the intimate, crazy, sexy passion that we're talking about, it literally means the willingness to suffer. And some of you are like, yeah, I've definitely suffered in my relationships. That's a good way. Yeah, I have a passionate relationship. Fucking sucks. That's not what we're talking about. That's why that word willingness is emphasized. How many of you have loved somebody before? Most of us, you should raise your hand. We've all loved somebody before. What are you willing to do for somebody that you love? Anything. Are you willing to do something that normally would annoy you? Yes or no? Yes. That sucked. Yes or no? Yes. Thank you. Yeah. You're willing to do anything. You're willing to suffer for them because you love them so much you'll do anything for them. So when people first get in relationships, that's that honeymoon phase, is they're willing to suffer no matter what because they love that person so much, or they want to be around that person. That's all they focus on. Does that make sense? Okay. So I summarized these earlier, but here's the 3 keys. How many of you think to kiss like that would be fun every day? I do. Anybody else think that would be fun? Yeah. Ouch. It's the willingness to suffer, right? Remember? The first thing you have to do is master yourself, which we're going to get into in just a second. Second thing is the understanding of polarity. The third thing is service. So let's look at self-mastery. So this can mean many, many, many things, but there's one principle you must understand about relationships, is relationships amplify. Anything and everything, but relationships amplify. So if 2 people in a relationship, doesn't matter, man or woman, man, woman, doesn't matter. 2 people in relationships, one of them is stressed out of their mind. They're at work, there's this big project, there's a deadline, they're behind, they've been procrastinating, they're just stressed, they're like, oh, overwhelmed, all this. So one partner over here, stressed out of the mind. The other person is annoyed, just pissed off. Something happened, got in a fight with their friends, just pissed off day. They're soulmates though. They're made for each other, they're soulmates, but really upset, really stressed out, overwhelmed. And they come together at the end of the day, back home. How great is their relationship gonna be? It's gonna suck because those energies are gonna be amplified in the relationship. Does that make sense? Let's say you have 2 people in a relationship and they're not soulmates at all, but one of them is so lit up about life, so lit up about job, things are going well, they're excited, they're happy, they're fulfilled, just so excited. Same with the other person. Just got back from vacation, they're feeling calm, centered, just present, ready to go. Again, they're not soulmates, but they come together in a relationship that evening. How's the relationship gonna be? Awesome. It's gonna be great because those emotions and that energy is what's amplified. Relationships amplify. So we're gonna have a little game. Here's some ways to self-master, which we'll get into detail, but rather than just me talk about it, who wants to play a game? I guess you don't want to play a game. Okay, cool. We don't need to play a game. I'm just kidding. Who wants to play a game? Yeah. That still sucked. You guys are alive. Take a deep breath. Shake your body out. Who wants to play a game? Thank you. So everybody stand up. That sucked. Oh my God. This man's like, ah, their movement sucked. It sucked so bad. So everybody sit back down. How you do the small things is how you do everything. And I'm calling you out on some stuff, but you gave me permission to, remember? So everybody take deep breaths and stand up. That sucked so bad still, oh my God. Huh. Sit back down. Who thinks they know how to stand up passionately, full of aliveness? Who can stand up with aliveness and demonstrate to us how to stand up? Michael, get up here, brother. That was fantastic. And I think we have, here's your chair right here you can metaphorically sit down on. Stand up for us and show us how to stand up with aliveness. Something like that. Like you don't have to jump up and down, but something like that. Thanks, brother. We'll see you later, yeah? I know, isn't he gifted? He can stand so well. So everybody stand up. That was a little bit better. Some of you are hesitating a little bit, but that's okay. So here's the game. Have you met every single person in this room yet? No. So here's the fun part. I want you to introduce yourself to somebody that you don't know just yet, or maybe you don't know so well, as if you're completely terrified of them. I'm completely out of this world, like scare them. Something like this. Hi. Yeah. Like that. Okay, so go. Get some music. Get some music. Do it one more time. Meet one more person completely terrified of them. Completely terrified. Okay, stop. You guys smile a lot when you're terrified. This is very interesting. Nice. So, did you have to move your body differently? Yes or no? Did you have to focus on different things? Did you have to use different language than you normally would in meeting somebody? Absolutely you did. So how many of you like this game? You're like, no, this is a stupid game. We are suffering now. This is a passionate talk. We're suffering right now, Ben. Come on. So we're going to do it again. This time, introduce yourself to a few people, but as if you could care less that you're meeting them. Something like this. Hey, what's your name? Michael. Yeah, I don't care. Here. Whatever. Make sense? So go. Meet a few people that way.
I knew it was the time again for the kin man to pay my house a little visit. Is it not that I really love to go outside, make a move to the waters and be alone? I swear.
All right, and stop where you are. I am so impressed by your aliveness. Because even when you don't care about somebody, you're still laughing and smiling. It's awesome. Okay? So take another deep breath, really, really deep breath, right in your belly. So here's a little hint. If you're breathing in your chest, you're not owning your power. So breathe from your belly. Everybody put your hand on your belly. When you breathe in, belly should come out. When you exhale, belly should go in. So it's almost like I can hear you. I don't know what's going on. Yeah. I hear you. I'm good. That's good. But that's how you should breathe. So, did you have to move your body differently to not care about somebody? Did you have to focus on different things? Use different language? Yes. So let's do it one more time just for shits and giggles because we want to have some fun. So this time, I want you to introduce yourself to somebody or meet somebody as if they're your long-lost friend that you haven't seen in like 10 years and you're so oh my God, it's so good to see you. What's up, dude? Man, how have you been? It's so good to see you. That's what I want you to do. So go meet somebody now as if they're a long-lost friend. Go meet them. Go meet them. Nice. All right. All right. Everybody raise your hand. Raise your hand if you can hear me. How do you feel? Feel good? You feel great? You feel alive? Did you have to move? Okay, good, yeah. Good job. Did you move your body differently? Yes. Did you focus on different things? Yes. Did you use different language? Absolutely. But it was somebody else next to you doing that to you, right? Something external from you created that like, oh my God. Like there's a little butterfly over here telling you that you need to feel that way. So how did you go from, I don't care, whatever, to, oh my God. How did you do that? It was a decision. Body language. What else? Yell it out. Gave yourself permission, yeah. How else did you do that? Different energy. Who creates that energy, though? Exactly. The reason why you felt terrified is you created that emotion of terrified. The reason you felt like, I could care less, you created that emotion within you. And then just now, the fun one with lots of energy, you created that. Does that make sense? Yeah. Sarah gave an amazing talk yesterday about emotions and the power of emotions. Our emotions are indicators, and they are amazing tools that we can harness and use to serve what we want in our life. You just experienced that. Did it feel good to go give somebody a big hug and shake around and smile? Yes or no? That sucked. Yes or no? Yes. There we go. You're alive now. So go ahead and grab a seat or get back to where you are. Thanks for playing the game. So I'm curious, if you're in a relationship and you chose to be in that or a similar state as that consistently in a relationship, how do you think your relationship would be? Better or worse? Better. Ladies, I'm just curious. In a relationship, if you're in one or when you think about being in a relationship, if that's how your partner showed up consistently around you, just that excited to be around you, that like full of energy and passion, how would you feel? Annoyed? Awesome. I love the feminine. I'd feel annoyed. He should go take out the garbage, and then he can be excited. Men, same question to you. If in your relationship, anytime that you saw your partner, they just had that genuine excitement. They were genuinely interested in seeing you and just excited. How would you feel? Feel freaking awesome. Now, it's not going to be like the every second of every day because there's, the range of things we need to feel, but it would feel good. So the biggest belief, and yes, this is the biggest belief, that stops people and prevents you and you and you and you and everybody from living the life that you really want to live is the emotions you feel consistently. That's the biggest thing that gets in your way. Your life is created by the emotions you consistently feel. Does that make sense? Yeah. So somebody who feels angry all the time, what's going to show up in the relationship? Anger. Somebody who's sad all the time, what's going to show up in the relationship? Sadness. Somebody who's happy and grateful and excited all the time, what's going to show up in the relationship? You guys crack me up. Yeah. We're in Berlin. Yeah, exactly. One in Berlin. So the belief that most people on the planet have, not most of you, I get this, you're different than most people. Most people are out just doing what they need to do. But the belief that most people have on the planet is how I feel is dependent on somebody else besides me. I feel how I feel because they did something. Or I feel how I feel because the economy is like this. Or I feel how I feel because this just didn't happen the way that I wanted and I'm just fucking pissed. They take that power that is genuine within us that you're all feeling right now and they give it to anything else outside of them. And then they wonder why they feel like shit all the time. You create your emotions. You can choose, you can decide how you feel. And you just did it. So take a deep breath, shake your body out again. One last example of this, and then we'll move on and we'll go through some of these things. But if you were depressed right now, sit the way that you would sit if you were depressed. You've all done this before, I see. What would you have to focus on to be depressed? Sadness, negative stuff, closed off. What else? What are some other things? What else would you have to believe or focus on to feel depressed? Failure. Loneliness. Helplessness. The past. Insecurities. Yeah. Again, you guys have done, you know this very well. We've all done this before. Okay. And you even use some of the specific language that creates depression. So if I move my body in a depressed way, and I'm thinking about depressing things, and I use depressing language, I'm gonna feel depressed. It's a pattern. It's a recipe. If you like chocolate cake and you follow the recipe, you're gonna get chocolate cake. Does that make sense? So how you move your body, what you focus on in your beliefs, and the language, the words that you use, immediately change your emotional energy. Immediately. So if you were completely confident, how would you sit? Like just owning your confidence, just boom, solid, confident. It's a little bit different than depressed, huh? Okay. What are some things you'd focus on? Okay, what else? When you're really, really confident, what else would you focus on? What else would you believe when you're really confident? Yes. What else? Possibilities. Yeah, you've done this too. This is great. So, would you rather feel confident more consistently or depressed? Should we take a vote? So, because I could. Confidence. Who would want to feel confident more consistently? That sucked. Who want to feel confident more consistently? Yeah. There we go. And just we'll get this side fairness. Who wants to feel really depressed all the time? I love the example yesterday of I've never seen a depressed person on a trampoline. Isn't it awesome? You don't. Because on a trampoline, can you bounce on a trampoline like this? Oh, this is so bad. You just can't. The foundation of a passionate relationship is your own emotional mastery. Period. It's a trampoline, yeah. The level of passion, the level of depth, the level of connection that you have in your relationship is completely dependent on your own emotional mastery. If something is off in the relationship, I promise you, you are not owning your emotions. Because what you're feeling in the relationship is just being amplified, and you're bringing some of that stuff that's being amplified. Does that make sense? So here's some simple things you can do to master yourself even more and to own your power. So mindset, we've been talking about your mindset, how you move your body, what you think about, what you believe, your language, that's all your mindset. Every minute of every single day, you're making the decision, whether you're conscious of it or not, what am I gonna focus on? What does it mean? And what am I gonna do about it? Even right now, you're thinking, am I gonna focus on Ben's shoes? Am I gonna focus on the sun's outside and it's really beautiful? Am I gonna focus on the blood that's pumping through my big toe on my left foot? Now you're thinking about it. What does it mean? Is it a good thing? Is it a shitty thing? Am I getting challenged, or is this an opportunity? You are at choice, period. And sometimes we forget that. I forget that too. You are always at choice. And I like that play on words. Always, in every single way you can possibly imagine, you are at choice. And always, two words, in every way you can think of in your life, you are at choice. You get to decide how you're going to show up and what things mean. Does that make sense? Okay. And then lastly, several speakers talked on this yesterday. It was fantastic. Your energy. If you're so tired and just exhausted at the end of the day, how's sex going to be? You're not going to have any. Because you're so exhausted. You have to take care of yourself, your own physical body, through movement, through eating healthy and nutrition. That's just as much a part of your emotions and your physical power as anything else. Your physiology, so things to do with your body, what you're eating, how you move, your physiology can affect your psychology. Just as much as your psychology can affect your physiology. Because again, when you're depressed, you immediately want like this. When you're confident, they can affect each other. Here's another distinction. Your physiology can infect your psychology, just as much as your psychology can infect your physiology. Does that make sense? If you're toxic, eating toxic things, not moving, it's gonna affect your emotions, guaranteed. There is no difference. You cannot take physiology away from psychology. They're the same. So questions about that. Who has a question about this? Mastering your psychology, mastering emotions, your mindset. Who has a question? Yes.
So how do you switch gears? How do you switch out of one to the other?
Fantastic question. Great question. So there's 3 simple things, and we've gone over this a few times, 3 simple things that whether you're conscious of it or not, you're always doing. You're moving your body in a certain way. You're thinking about certain things, and you're using specific language. Those are the 3 things that create every single emotion that we feel. Physiology, focus, and language. Physiology, focus, language. Physiology, focus, language. So what are they?
Physiology, focus, language.
Yeah, you're so good. Nice. So if you're wanting to feel excited, for example, how would you have to move your body to feel really, really excited? Show me. Exactly. So we have 4 people being excited. Awesome. What do you all want to be depressed over here? You like this so much? Depressed? You like this over here? So everybody, do excitement. You've all felt excited before. Do it right now. Do excitement. Great. That was good. Nice one. Yeah. Do you feel excited, yes or no? Yes. Do you feel more excited than before? Yes. Our emotions are muscles, so the more that we do these, the stronger they get. If we want to grow our bicep, am I going to lift my leg up? Maybe. You're going to grow the bicep. So if you're wanting more excitement in your life, you have to work that muscle by doing that pattern. So let's do this. Everybody shake your body out, take a deep breath, close your eyes. And with what we're about to do, you can stay sitting, you can stand, whatever feels most comfortable for you. But just another really, really deep breath. Feel your heart beating. And breathe. And as you continue to breathe and feel your heart beating, think back to any moment in your life. It could have been something that happened this morning. It could have been something that happened when you were 4 or 5 years old. But just any moment when you felt completely powerful or in the zone, or however you want to describe that, but just any moment. And breathe. And just so I know, when you have that moment in mind, raise your hand. Okay? So really put yourself back in that moment. Really feel the same things you were feeling then. Breathe even more of that experience right now into your body. Stand the way that you were standing. If you were standing at that time, stand the same way you were standing in that moment. Move the same way you're moving. So if you're moving that moment, you can open your eyes, move around this room the same way you're moving during that moment. And keep breathing deeply and feel that experience right now. And breathe. Breathe even more of that emotion into your body. So stay connected with this emotion. Open your eyes, but stay there and breathe even more into your body. Even more of that emotion. So out loud now, say that emotion that you were feeling. What was that emotion you felt when you were most powerful? Just say it out loud. Everybody, say it out loud. Good. Another deep breath. Say it even louder. What did you feel? Okay. I'm curious if the next 7 days you lived from this state, just for the next 7 days, what would be possible? Good sex. I like her answer. I'm sitting next to you. Yeah. So just imagine to yourself now, what would be possible in my life if that was my dominant state the next 7 days, the next week? And just think to yourself, how would life go? And then just because we can, breathe even more of that emotion into your body. And let's fast forward a month from now. So it would be June 30th, the end of June, basically. So a whole month, you've consistently lived from this state. Just imagine, what would be possible? What would my life look like 30 days from now if I was living from this state? How many of you like what's possible? Really? I'm not convinced. Still not convinced. How many of you think that life would be quite awesome if you lived from that state consistently for the next 30 days? Yeah. So breathe even more of that emotion into your body. And let's fast forward a year from now. It's 2015. And we're getting ready to start the next Alive in Berlin. Woo! What could you create in your life? What could you give? How could you connect? What depth could you create and experience the next year if this is the emotion you live from consistently? Not that you won't have problems and challenges, because that's part of life. That's going to happen. In case you were wondering, it's going to happen. But if you got yourself back into this state, what would be possible a year from now? Anything. Yes, very awesome sex. I like that we keep coming back to sex. Yes. So, how would your relationships be? Intimate relationships. Those of you in a relationship right now, raise your hand. How would your relationship be if you showed up in this state consistently for the next year? Much better.
Red hot.
Red hot. Yes. Yes. Who's not in a relationship? Raise your hand. Okay, now look around so you can meet each other. Do you think, I'm just curious, what type of relationship would you be able to attract if you lived from this state consistently for the next year?
That same energy.
Same energy, exactly. How many of you want that? Are you sure? How many of you want that? Yeah. So take a few, like 2 minutes, sit down and get your pen and paper out. We're going to write some of this down. So a quick little exercise with some music so you can enjoy this. First question is write down, what are the top emotions that I want to feel consistently? And there's no right or wrong here. Is it love? Is it joy? Excitement? Passion? Passion, by the way, is also an emotional state. Has its own physiology, own focus, own language. But that's step one. Just write down, what are the top 5 emotions I want to feel consistently?
Girl, I got my eye on you, heavy as a harvest moon. I look to chase away the sun, make the colors of the daylight run. When I put the stains of love on the place that I've been thinking of, the writing on the wall you see, it's just me trying to make it real.
And you can do more than 5. If you're like, I can't choose, there's like 12 I want to be in. Do more than 5, but come up with at least 5. That's a good number to start with. Once you have those, and I know some of you probably might be brainstorming some more, which is okay. Second piece of this is to write down, how do I move my body? What am I thinking about? What am I focusing on? And what language am I using when I'm in each of these states? So just choose one of them now. Do the one that you just visualized, because that's probably on your list of things you want to feel consistently, and write down, how did I move my body? What was my physiology like when I felt that confidence or that joy or that peace? And write down, when my posture was this way, I moved my hands like this, my facial expressions like this. Write down what you're focused on. What did I think about? What words would I use when I'm in that state?
To these arms you know so well. Last time we came this way, you tripped and fell from the edge into a sea of tears. I sat and watched you disappear. Oh, 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 oh. She gonna come my way. She gonna come my way, my way, my way, my way, my way.
Does anybody have a question about number 2?
Gonna come my way.
I should say, who has a question about number 2?
She gonna come my way.
Y'all got it? You got your top 5 at least. You have one of them, physiology, focus, and language. Your homework with this tonight is to fill out the rest. So you have one that you have the physiology, focus, and language, or you have the recipe of. You want to get the rest of them so that you know, if I want to feel this, this is how I move, this is what I can think about, this is the language I can use. The third part is the fun part. And that is, it's practice, 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 practice. So with number 3, write down, what can I do starting right now to practice these emotions consistently? To do these emotions consistently. Is that set an alarm on my phone every hour in the hour, a little vibrate in my pocket? Reminds me to get myself into state. Is that anytime I walk into a room, I get into state? One thing that I've done that's helped me with this is anytime I have a new block of time in my calendar, I get into the state that's going to serve me for that outcome, for that coming time period. So constantly throughout the day, I'm getting the state, working those muscles. There's a lot of different ways you can do it, but decide for you. What are some specific ways right now you can apply this and own your emotions even more?
I want to see the glow behind your eyes. No, now it's all about this.
Great. So take a deep breath. Shake your body out. So some of you are probably wondering, like, why the hell is he spending so much time talking about these emotion stuff? And I want the orgasm piece. Where's the multiple orgasm piece? How many of you are wondering that right now? Why is he spending so much time talking about emotions right now? I would be wondering that. I'm like, I came for the orgasms. What's all this pattern shit in writing? Talk about orgasms. So you must understand, though, that what creates an orgasm, even just biochemically, is emotion. Great sex is 95% emotion. Actually, it's probably more like 99% emotion. Most people think it's the opposite. Most people think amazing sex and passion and what creates multiple orgasms is just delicious, juicy, sexy stuff. Is technique. And don't get me wrong, technique is very, very important. Because guys, I don't care how badly you think fucking her in the ear is going to give her an orgasm. It's not. It's not. So yes, technique is important. It does matter a little bit. But most of what creates excruciatingly delicious passion is emotion. Because that's what gets amplified when we're having sex. And when those emotions are getting amplified during sex, that's what creates the openness for the feminine to have orgasm after orgasm after orgasm after orgasm after orgasm, hundreds and hundreds of orgasms, is that emotional openness, because that's what's being amplified. And for men to own your stamina and your power sexually, you're owning your fucking emotions. It takes emotional muscles to keep your muscle. Does that make sense? So for example, you don't need to raise your hand, but many men on the planet, I'll tell you a silly story about this. I was one speaking gay I did in California. I was so used to like, yeah, so who's experienced this before, like trying to get engagement from the audience? And I got into like, who ejaculates prematurely and all this. I'm like, yeah, so who's had this problem before? And like 4 guys raised their hand right away and they're like, oh shit. They put it back down. I was like, oh, sorry guys, I didn't mean to do that to you. But if you think about men, Because every man's had this problem, and if they say they haven't, they lie about other stuff too. Every man has had this problem. Because we get around the feminine or around something we're attracted to, and it's overwhelming for us. It's so fast, it's fantastic. There's nothing better than that desire we feel for something we want. Especially when it's in a sexual, just pure way. I'm talking pure in a relationship, pure way. And so in that state, most men, if they haven't mastered themselves and mastered their emotions, get like so excited and get really, really tight. And that's why they like, oh, it comes so easy. Because it's an emotional state. So a lot of guys, when they hear that I talk about orgasms and how to, please women in really authentic ways, they're like, dude, how would I give her orgasms? I'm like, you need to master yourself. They're like, yeah, but how do I give her orgasms? Like, you need to master yourself. I know, but like, what can I do to like do this? And I'm like, you're not getting it. You need to master yourself. Men, listen to this. Ladies, how many of you think a man who owns his power and his presence and his energy and his mission, and he owns it, and he harnesses all that energy on you, is sexy? Yes. Make the noise of how that feels when all that passion and presence and energy is directed at you. Make that noise. What's it feel like? That's all that it feels like? That sucked. It's overwhelming. That's the truth. It's overwhelming. So that's why we're spending so much time on self-mastery. This is the number one thing that creates thriving passion. Does this make sense now? Average studies show, and some of you may have heard this, I throw on these statistics because I think they're funny. They're literally funny. Most men on the planet can last about 3 to 4 minutes having sex before they ejaculate. 3 to 4 minutes. Okay. Most women on the planet, those that have orgasms during sex, and that's only about 40%. So hear that study. Most men have an orgasm within 3 to 4 minutes of having sex, anytime, and only about 40% of women have an orgasm during any type of sex or intimacy. But those 40% of women who do have an orgasm, it takes about 18 to 20 minutes to get to the point where they can have an orgasm. So for the feminine, 18 to 20 minutes of just delicious awesomeness to get into that space where they can have orgasms. Most men, 3 to 4 minutes. Oh, I'm so tired. Let's go. And then people wonder why their sex life sucks. Interesting. It's fascinating. I find that fascinating. That's why we're talking about this. And it's also why we're talking about the next piece, which is polarity. That's masculine, feminine energy. That's that juicy, just magnetism that you felt for somebody you were attracted to. That's what you were feeling, is that polarity between your essence and that other person's essence. There's the clicker. I thought it was in my pocket. So take a deep breath. Shake your body out. So polarity. I absolutely love this symbol. I think it's one of the most powerful symbols we have in humanity. Yin yang, masculine, feminine. Life revolves around masculine, feminine energy. This is my belief. I'm not saying you need to believe this. This is just what I've seen in the work that I do. Everything revolves around masculine, feminine energy, especially when it comes to intimacy and thriving relationships. So there are dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens, probably thousands of differences we could put here. There's just some big ones that I see most consistently in the clients that I work with and the people that I coach and just the relationships that I've seen. And again, this is no means exhausting. These are just a few of the things that come up consistently. This is energy, not gender. This is energy. Does that make sense? Okay. So a metaphor I use a lot because it's simple. All of us have an essence where our core is either more masculine or more feminine. There's no right or wrong on this, but for most men, the majority of men have a more masculine essence. Most women, not all, but most women have a more feminine essence or feminine energy as their core. So if you imagine a tree, this is the trunk, and they have roots going way down into the ground. That's your essence. And then you have branches of both. So you have branches of masculine and feminine. We all have both energies, and we need both. To be balanced in harmony with who we are and with life, we need both. And we all use both. And that's great, and nothing's going to stop that. That's great. But when we're aligned with our essence, that's when we're owning our power, and we have so much fun in life. So here's just some simple distinctions between masculine and feminine energy. So we'll do feminines over here on the left, masculines over here on your right. So the biggest distinction you need to understand between masculine and feminine energy, and this creates the most pain and frustration and just fighting that I've seen in relationships, is this first distinction between masculine and feminine energy. Feminine energy perceives life through emotion. Everything is through emotion, how she feels. Everything. That is why, ladies, you get so frustrated because guys, the masculine is so fucking logical. You're like, I just want him to tell me how he feels and what's going on. He's experiencing these. He's like, I feel good. You're like, God, it's so... And that's why men are so confused that you want to talk about how you feel and all this, because you're like, great, how was your day? Was it good or bad? Like, you're telling me a story about how you went shopping and got shoes and it was so beautiful, and then you met your friend Sarah who just got this new dress and she had this new necklace over here and it was fantastic, and then Sarah came, oh my God, Sarah did all this other stuff, and we're just like, I don't know what you're talking about. Did you have a good day or not? I'm scared. Because it doesn't make logical sense to us. We get confused by that. Because the masculine perceives life through logic. What makes sense to us logically? Now, we all use emotions every single day. So that's why we spent so much time before on using emotions and how we show up in emotional states. But this is the biggest difference on how we perceive life and experiences. Men think logically. I went on a trip several years ago to Egypt. It was fantastic. I loved it. Backpacked all up the Red Sea, went to the pyramids. It was amazing. I was gone for like 3 weeks. And I got home, and I was living in Denver, Colorado at the time. And my best friend's wife, she's like my sister. She's amazing. Her name's Janelle. And she's like, Ben, how was the trip? I was like, it was awesome. It's fucking awesome. It was good. And my buddy Andrew was like, yeah, it was awesome. It was cool. And then we started talking about how we wanted to go rock climbing the next day and mountain biking. And she's like, wait, hold on a second. Like, what was it like? Like, how did you feel? What were the people like? All this stuff. I'm like, it was awesome. It was good. And he's like, yeah, why you keep asking him all these things? He said it was awesome. It was good. Because in that sense, I was in that masculine mode of like hanging out with my bro, and we're doing this and talking about rock climbing. I'd already like, what's next? What can we do next? What can we create next? And she wanted the emotion of what did it feel like and the people and what'd you see? And it was powerful. I'm like, it was awesome. How many of you have experienced this dynamic in your relationships in the past? Yes, that's a big thing. So I was talking with an awesome gentleman earlier about some of the things that are showing up in his relationship, about his girlfriend, feeling certain things and talking about this and talking about this and kind of going back and forth around the emotions. Here's what you need to know. Feminine energy is like the ocean. So deep and powerful. Sometimes the ocean's very calm, smooth waves. Sometimes there's this fucking storm that's like, hurricane, gonna destroy things, big tsunami. How long does a storm last though? Not very long. Feminine energy is like a storm. It will be calm, and then another moment will come and just like storm, emotional storm, emotional storm, emotional storm, and then it will go away and will be calm again. And guys are just like, what the fuck? When they don't understand this dynamic and what happens. This storminess is the most delicious, sexy part of the feminine energy. It is so fucking sexy when you understand what happens and why and what it's about. Does that make sense? Yes. So feminine perceives life through emotion, masculine perceives through logic. Does that make sense? Yes. Not everybody's saying yes. So who has a question about logic and emotion? Yes. About the ocean? Yes. Yes. Yeah. So another way to look at this is when the feminine, ladies, when I say you're storming, does that make sense to you, what that means? I literally mean it's a gorgeous part of what happens with the feminine. It's so freaking sexy. Most men, though, perceive it logically, which is like, oh, she's so upset. We're like, fuck, it's bad because they're trying to see it through a logical perspective. But when men get that all the feminine really wants, so this is the second thing between masculine and feminine, all the feminine really wants is to know that she's loved. That is the most important thing to the feminine, period, to know that she's loved. Nothing else comes even close. Ladies, when you feel loved, how's life? Why men are so logical and why we always want to fix things is when we can fix something or perceive it logically and chunk it down like there's this big thing and we chunk it down, we can solve it and then we feel free. Guys, when you solve a big problem, how do you feel? Yeah. When you have this big, massive project and you do it, how do you feel? Yeah. When you have this goal or this intention of, I'm going to conquer this mountain, climb this mountain, I'm going to do this, I'm going to have this goal, and I'm going to rock the shit out of it. How do you feel? Yeah. Feel awesome. You feel powerful. You feel free. Because the feeling that the masculine wants to seek most consistently is the feeling of freedom. So this is why, ladies, when in the past you've talked to a man about a problem and you just wanted to talk. Because, again, that's what the feminine does. If she has an issue, she just wants to talk about it, and then she feels fine. She'll talk her way through the problem. She can fix any problem she has. But guys hear that. Oh, she has a problem. Okay, we can solve this. She feels upset. She calls her friend Sarah, and every time she calls her friend Sarah, she's like crying. Like, I'm going to delete that number from her phone, then she'll be fine. She won't ever call Sarah again. It'll be awesome. And then we're like, oh, my God, why is she pissed at me? Why am I sleeping on the couch? I was helping. I was fixing. Men want to fix because that's our natural thing to do. But in a relationship, your lady doesn't need you to fix her. She's a goddess. She's more powerful than you are. She can fix her own shit. She needs to be loved. And part of being loved is understanding. She needs to be understood. So when ladies make the sound of what it's like in a relationship when you're just speaking about something, just talking, and he tries to fix it. Men, just for effect, listen one more time. Ladies, how does it feel when he tries to fix it? Okay. And how does it feel when he's centered, grounded, present, he listens, and he loves you, and you're talking? How does that feel? Wait, so one more time. When he tries to fix it, sounds like... And when he's just present, and he listens, and he sends you love? Guys, what do you want? You get to choose. Yes, sir.
Can I ask a question?
Absolutely.
Just for the sake of counterpoint, can you talk about an example that's not in traditional male-female roles?
Yep.
Because my husband is a very creative person and goes into the feminine space. And when I run a business, my business, I go into the masculine space. So sometimes I'm the one who's saying, like, well, just this is how you solve it. Just make the
exactly.
art. Just do it. And he's like, no. So just because I know how many creative men there are too, and I want to make sure that we...
Really, really good question. Thank you. So in this context, what we've been talking about so far up until now, and such a great question, thank you. It's been about intimacy and sex and connection. And in a relationship, we all have times when you're more feminine, more masculine. So Sarah's a perfect example. At work, she has to be in the masculine mode. It's doing things. It's moving towards something. It's direction. And the artistic, at times, is much more feminine. So in a relationship, though, seeking your work or your mission or your body of work, some of the things we've been talking about, you're going to need to do what you do. If that's more masculine, awesome. That's fantastic. Ladies, you're going to have to get masculine to do things. That's awesome. Men, when you're creative, you're going to have to get more feminine. And that's awesome. That's going to happen. It's good. But when you come together and relate with each other in your relationship, if you stay masculine and he stays feminine, you're going to fight. And there's going to be no polarity because it's inauthentic. And you definitely aren't going to be having intimacy and sex. And you're going to be like that, and he's going to be like, I'm so hurt. I don't understand. She just doesn't want to touch me. She just feel bad because he'll perpetuate that feminine energy, and you'll just get pissed and confused in the masculine way. So the simplest thing you can do in a relationship is whatever role that you need to fulfill to do your mission and give your gifts is fine. But when you come together and relating in your relationship at the end of the day or whenever you have time to connect, it's relationship time. You both need to be aligned with your essence. So men need to have transition time, and write this down. Men, you must have transition time. And that's the transition between work mode and now I'm not working. Because at work mode, we literally are fix-it mode. We're like in the warrior state, covered in blood and guts, and we love it. We're like, yeah, bring it, let's go solve some more stuff. But most men come home straight from that without metaphorically showering and cleaning, and they're covered with blood and guts and then wondering why their wife doesn't want to have sex with them, because they're wearing their armor and blood and guts all over and stinky, trying to be all intimate, and she's like, yeah, you're weird. You need a transition time, which is where energetically and emotionally you shift from fix-it mode, work mode to I'm here, I'm a king, this is different. Does that make sense? Same for the feminine. Whatever role that you feel in your career and life, whether that's masculine, feminine, again, it's great. Whatever you need to do, fantastic. But you need your passion time or your radiance time where you can get back in alignment with radiance, feminine energy, and openness. And that can look like so many different things. You can take a bath. You can just breathe. You can wear sexy underwear or no underwear at all. Whatever makes you feel feminine and open and light. Men, in your transition time, do whatever you need to do. So how many of you in the past, ladies, have been with a man or dated a man that when he gets home from work, he's just like completely disconnect, doesn't want to talk, doesn't want to do anything? How many of you have had that before? Because he's still in work mode. Here's something that's not up here but ties into this is men can only focus on one thing at one time. It's literally wired in our brain. We can only focus on one thing at one time. That's it. Single focused. So when we come home from work and we're focused on work, we literally, even in our brains, we literally cannot see you. I'm not joking, literally. We'll be like, hey, what's going on? Got to do the work, and got to call John, got to do this. Literally, like, that's just what we do. Men, feminine is so different. They got eyes everywhere. They can see everything. It's not that they can multitask, but they are omnifocus. They are aware of everything. So all the ladies right now, men, in case you're wondering, are listening to me. They're aware of what's going on in the room. They're aware of what you smell like sitting next to them. They're aware of their notes, their notebook, how they feel. Do I feel beautiful enough? What's my makeup looking like? They're thinking about all this stuff at the same time. And guys are like, I'm so confused. I thought we were talking about orgasms. So that's another issue that comes up. That's why men, you need transition time. So do whatever you need to do. If that's sit down and read the paper, if that's, watching a sports game, if that's just changing your clothes, doing some push-ups, something, but you need some transition that's going to help with that. Did that answer your question, Sarah? Cool. Thank you. Yes.
Oh. No, I mean, with the transition time, so if you switch from work mode to non-work mode, you're still masculine though, right?
Absolutely.
So,
yeah.
But then, how does it change you? I mean, you're still in the fixing mode if you're masculine, right?
Very, very good question. Thank you for that question. So the difference between work mode is when men go to work, it literally, energetically in our bodies, we're going to fight. Literally, when we put on our suit, like in a tie and all that, energetically to the masculine, we're putting on armor, our shield and our sword, and we're going to fight. We're going to solve those fucking problems. We're going to create stuff. We're going to, anything gets in my way, I'm going to kill it. Energetically. That's what work is to us. Our mission is the most important thing. We're going to go to that mission and nothing's going to get in our way. If we're still in that energy of fight mode, shield, sword, when we come home to relate with the feminine, she's having a storm, I'm like, get away. It's like, it's like that. We're still going to be picking fights. Does that make sense? So when we have that transition time, we're setting down the sword and the shield. We're still owning that we're a fucking king, but we're not in battle anymore. So metaphorically, it's like a man going off to war, and then he has his transition time coming home from war to honor and love and support and light up his woman and his family. Does that make sense? Okay. Does that make sense to everybody else too? The difference? Okay. Great question. A few other distinctions, there's so many we could get into, is so the feminine will take the smallest things. This used to confuse me so much because I'd say one little thing, and all of a sudden, World War XIX was happening. I'm like, what the fuck? How did we go from this to this tiny, tiny little conversation, this big, 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 massive thing? So the feminine will take small things and blow them up, completely exaggerate, just way, way, way out of proportion. The masculine does the opposite. We will see these big, massive problems, these big, big, big things, and we'll chunk them down smaller and be like, oh, if I just do this and this and this, we're done. Okay, cool. Again, that's part of our logical fix-it mode, but we'll take big things, chunk them down, and the feminine's like, how can you just, it's not that simple. How can you do this? It's not like that. And we're like, sorry. And then we think it's done because we said sorry. And you're like, oh my God, I can't believe he said that. How could he do that? He doesn't love me. Oh, jeez. Blowing it up. This is why the feminine blows things up. How does she perceive life? Through emotion. So when the feminine takes this small little thing and blows it up, she can step into it and she can understand it because now she can feel what's going on in that moment. And then she gets it. Now she can perceive what that thing is because she felt it. Men cannot, we literally can't do that because we perceive things through what? How does the masculine perceive life? Logically. So if we were to step into things like that, we'd be so confused. So we're like, oh, that's too much. So if I just chunk it down, oh, sorry. Oh, I thought we were done. Like, we chunk things down. Does that make sense? Okay. Another little distinction is the masculine is always trying to empty, to release, and to let go. It's so easy for us to forget something. John and I could literally be going at it and having a fight and like calling each other names and like, you fuckhead, and 3 minutes later be like, so want to grab a beer? And we're like, yeah, okay, cool. Literally. How many of you guys have had that before? All the freaking time. We'll get in the most intense fight with somebody, and 5 minutes later be like, cool, okay, it's done. We let it go. We let it go. The feminine does the opposite. The feminine's always trying to feel up, and she's holding on to things and filling up. Even sexually, when you think about masculine and feminine, the feminine's being filled up, being penetrated and filled up, and the masculine's releasing, penetrating and releasing. That's why we forget things. Very easy. That's why it's easier for us to get over something. We'll get in a fight and say sorry and think it's done. And then wonder why she's holding on to it. And 10 years later, she brings up, well, 10 years ago, you did this too. And we're like, where the fuck did that come from? What does that have to do with right now? And she's like, I can't believe it. You always do this. I'm like, it happened 10 years ago. We don't know what to do. But that's it. The feminine always holds on to things. Here's why orgasm is so important. It's a sacred thing. Yes, it's fun and we're really playful about it and we laugh a lot about it. So take a deep breath, shake your body out. Really deep breath. Come on now, breathe. Really deep breath, shake your body out. The reason why I start out with orgasms is 1, it's fun, and 2, it breaks people's state, but 3, it is the most sacred connection possible in human form. And it's the only way for the feminine to truly release everything that she's holding on to, which is a shit ton of stuff. Because the feminine holds on to everything. For example, can I see your wallet? I love this. Tony does this all the time. Wallet. Do you have your wallet? Cool. Masculine. All right, ladies. And there's a good one. Can I see it? I won't look at it. Can I just see it? Oh my God, okay. Can I grab your bag? Who's there? Oh, jeez. Who's another lady that has a bag? Oh, there you go. Oh my God. Fuck me, oh God. So, masculine. There's some money in here and some credit cards and some receipts. Masculine, simple. Empties out. He only has the bare necessity. Same thing. Money, receipts. Ooh. I'm not going to look through this because ladies like, he better not go through her bag. I will rip off his face. He better not get in her bag. Feminine. I promise you, inside these bags, there's other bags. There are. Because that's how they gather stuff. They hold on to it. They just like gather all this shit. I'm not going to do it. I promise you I'm not. I'm just looking. I'm just curious. For example, is it okay if I just pull this out? Another bag. Another bag. And that's the small pocket. Going into the big one. That's the simplest visual I can possibly think of. Feminine energy gathers all this stuff. They hold on to things because they might need it, or they know they don't need it, but they still like, I don't know, just put it in here. Put it in. They hold on to things. So, there you go, darling. Thank you very much. So, they carry a lot of shit. Which is fine, there's nothing right or wrong about that, but the only way for them to authentically release all that weight and all that energy that they're feeling is pure, deep, sexy, sensual, loving orgasms. That's their way to release. The ladies are like, well, duh. You're just getting that now? You're smart. And guys are like, what? So we started out with some statistics. It takes the masculine how long, on average? 3 to 4 minutes to have an orgasm. Because again, it's easy for us to release, empty things out. The feminine, it takes 18 to 20 minutes. So in most relationships today, not all, most, and I'm talking about the average, the feminine never truly releases anything that she's holding on to. Which means she's very full of shit, which also looks like she's very, very tight. And like just, oof. But of course, that's never ever happened to any of the ladies in the room, right? You've never been like really, really tight, just overwhelmed. Okay. Ladies, how do you feel after you release in an orgasm? Like think of the most amazing orgasm you've ever had so far. I didn't even ask them to make a noise. They just thought about it and it just came out. How does it feel when you can open that authentically? Guys, did you just feel the shift in energy in the room? How many of you could feel that? Raise your hand. Ladies, how many of you felt the shift in energy in the room? That quick. It can happen. Just thinking about being that open for the feminine, they already start to release a little bit. Just the thought of being owned and ravaged in that way, and they're already like, oh God, that's so amazing. Why the fuck can't Brian do this? Fucking dick, he's but and then they go that. So just breathe again. One of the greatest gifts you can give yourself, ladies, is to put your shoulders back, stand in good posture, and open. So just do it now. Just breathe. Open. Breathe. Guys, did I fix anything? No. I didn't fix anything. How many of you men think that the energy in the room right now is quite delicious? Welcome to feminine energy. We didn't have to fix anything to get here. Something to think about. A few last distinctions. Feminine is stimulated by praise. Ladies, when somebody gives you an authentic compliment that's truly meaningful, not just like, but authentic compliment, how do you feel? They're completely lit up, radiant, loved. They are stimulated by praise. Masculine is stimulated by challenge. Somebody challenges us, we're like, bring it, let's go. And we'll like puff up. That's one reason why masculine, we banter with each other. Like, dude, you're such a fuckwit. Like, oh, you're like that. We do that. That's how we build that trust, because we're challenging each other. This is another reason why those who went to my workshop yesterday or might go later today, when the feminine is being overly masculine, we are going to pick a fight with you because we see you as a challenge. We're going to fight. Whether we're aware of this or not, that's what's happening energetically. Masculine's going to fight another masculine. Now, feminine wins every single fight. Guys, you should know this by now. If you don't, let me say it again. Feminine's going to win every single fight. Even if you're right. She's going to win. So what needs to happen is, men, when you're in a relationship with the feminine, you have to praise her authentically, constantly. Not because you need to or because I'm telling you to, but because she's your goddess and you want to honor her every second of every single day. And she will light up in ways you can't even imagine when she's praised like that. Last little distinction is, we talked about this a little bit earlier, but the feminine just wants to be understood. Like, just understand that she's going through some stuff. She has a storm. She needs to deal with all these things. She just wants to be understood. Not judged, not shamed, not trying to fix it, just understood. The masculine just wants to be appreciated. We do a lot of stuff. Guys, how does it feel when she appreciates what you do, even if it's a small thing? How does it make you feel? We feel like a fucking king. We feel amazing, even if it's the tiniest shit. Ladies, if you want your man to do something, honor him and appreciate something he did that day. Small things. If you're pissed at him for not taking out the trash, be like, babe, thanks so much. I love it when you do this kind of stuff. He will be like, oh my God, what else can I do for her? Oh, this feels awesome. Oh, trash, taking out the trash. Boom, on the shit. I took out the trash. Boop, 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 boop. We feel awesome. So if you want to influence your man, appreciate him with affection. Okay. One last distinction about orgasms, and then I got to wrap up because I'm getting a look from Yana. Be like, what the fuck are you doing? The feminine opens first emotionally, and then she'll open up sexually. So guys, if you're having a barbecue or you're cooking something, do you put the food on the stove, take the food off the stove, and then turn on the oven? That's what you do in your relationship, and then you wonder why nothing gets baked. Why there's no cookies, why there's no sweets. She must be opened emotionally first, and then she'll open up physically in ways you can't even imagine. Every feminine goddess is the most sensual, sexual, craving, crazy, fanatic, slutty, awesome goddess. Every single one has that potential when she's loved and understood and opened up fully. And ladies, you can interrupt me if you think I'm wrong. I'm not, but you can interrupt me. And they're like, no, he's right, he's right. The masculine is the opposite. We open up first physically, and then we'll open up emotionally. So a lot of ladies complain like, he just wants sex. That's our way of connecting first. It's in our DNA. We can't stop this. We're not just trying to be a dick. We literally, that's how we connect first, is through physical affection. And when we receive that physical affection, then we'll open up our feelings.
By which time it's too late.
Most time, well, exactly. But that's why we're having this conversation. So that's one dynamic that shows up really consistently in relationships. The feminine opens up first emotionally, and then she'll open up physically. The masculine opens up physically first, and then he'll open up emotionally. One last thing about that is an authentic, present, grounded, centered man, masculine, is there already. And radiance is on this side. An authentic feminine goddess is there already. Does that make sense? So one last thing, it's really quick. How many of you feel a lot of energy now versus early this morning before we started? More energy, yes or no? Raise your hand. So take another deep breath. Shake your body out. I know I've been talking about a lot of stuff. When we can harness all this energy and this intimacy and this passion and this deliciousness, and we do it to create something or make a difference and leave a legacy that's beyond anything we possibly imagine, that's the gift, and that's why we're here as humans. That's why there's relationships in the first place, because it amplifies things. When you come together in a relationship and you're creating that passion, and then you both have a shared vision, like, you know, we want to do something for the community. It's insanely awesome. We are here to make a difference. The secret to living is giving. But it's not necessarily just giving money, but it's giving your gifts fully to something outside of yourself. Why this matters to me is there is not enough authentic masculine energy on the planet, and it creates every single problem that we're facing. Authentic leaders do not damage the environment. Authentic leaders are not corrupt. Authentic leaders want to serve genuinely, and they make a difference. Authentic radiance wants to create and nurture and create those connections. Those two things, nothing can stop authentic masculine and feminine energy. That's why we're here. I love Rumi. How many of you have heard of Rumi before? Amazing. The dude was gifted in ways I can't even begin to explain. This is one of my favorite distinctions he has about life. Your task is not to seek for love, but merely to seek and find all the barriers within yourself that you've built against it. When we are being authentically ourselves and owning our power and living from our essence and mastering our emotions, we've removed the blocks that prevent passion, intimacy, connection, orgasm, sex. It's so fun. That's what we're here to do. My hope is that through you owning your power consistently and the messages that these fantastic people have already shared today, that for yourself, you're going to step in ways that you have been scared to in the past. That in your relationships, you're going to bring those emotions and this knowledge of polarity and masculine feminine energy, and that's going to be amplified instead of the stuff that was amplified in the past. And have a lot of shit tons of fun in the process, and lots of sex and lots of orgasms, but in an authentic, deep, releasing way. And my hope is that you are all the leaders, whether you know that or not. You're the leaders that's going to change the planet. Our planet's not going to be changed by governments or even by big corporate businesses. They're going to be changed by authentic leaders, feminine and masculine, owning their power. Gesundheit. So that's my want, that's my wish, that's my desire. If you have any questions, let me know. But it's been an honor to see you all grow and to be on the stage with these amazing speakers. Thank you so much. Live passionately.